And we are back with another live episode. Got Mark Nelson in the house joining us. How's it going, Mark?
It's going great. How's it going with you?
Very well, I guess. I know we talked a little bit beforehand. I was complaining about the humidity, but you don't have to really worry about that in Canada, right?
Nope, not today. Later this summer, it'll be humid, but
I'm
it'll
jealous.
never be as humid as it is down in South in Mississippi.
Hey, come visit sometime.
I'd like to.
Well, man, how's things been going since we met up? It's been a couple months since you've been on the show.
It's going along. UFL season just keeps trucking along. Surprises here and there. Some things aren't surprises, but it's all moving along. Week by week by week by week. We're now half the season is over. In fact, week 6 is over. There's only 7, 8, 9, 10 left, and then playoffs. So hopefully it's exciting.
Yes, I agree. And hopefully it's a success. That's the biggest thing. We definitely want this to be around next year. So judging from the TV numbers and such, it's looking pretty good so far. But you know how this goes. We just wait and see.
I agree. Yeah, we have to wait and see.
Yes, sir. So, guys, if you're not familiar with Mark Nelson, he's the creator of UFLboard.com. He's been in the alt football and spring football game since the original XFL back in 2000, correct?
That's right. Yeah. We started XFL board in 2000, and it was started because there was no place to discuss XFL football and nobody had a site. So I said, damn, I like football and I think I might like the XFL. I thought, and I did like it, but I'm not a wrestling fan. So a lot of people were wrestling fans back then. I've never been a wrestling fan. But you know what? I was thinking about it today. What really did I like? Well, I liked the fact that Vince McMahon came out and said, I hate the NFL and I hate fair catches. And I said, yeah, me too. Because I'm a CFL fan, or I was, and I still am. But it was like whenever I watched an NFL game and they did a fair catch, I was like, what the heck is that? Why are you doing that? I think maybe that was the thing that triggered me, and then it all started there.
That's awesome. I wish I was old enough to have interacted with that, but unfortunately, I was 7? No, I was 9. Sorry. So I remember the XFL back then, but man, it was too long ago. So I do remember being a wrestling fan back then, though, and it was hot commodities for wrestling back in those days.
Yeah, it was a big deal. Still is.
Yes, sir. So how did you enjoy week 6 of the UFL? I know we haven't met since things have started, if I remember correctly. So, I mean, what's your take so far, man?
Well, week 6, the Saturday games were kind of spotty and iffy. And then, of course, the Sunday games were much better and much more entertaining. That's for sure.
Yes, sir. I agree. I know that, I don't know, the games that come down to the wire are really entertaining. And like this game with the Michigan Panthers, Jake Bates kicked that last-minute 60-yard field goal. I mean, that's awesome. That was a great way to win and watch a game, no doubt.
Yeah, it was exciting, and that's how many times has he kicked that game-winning field goal, and how many times has Arlington lost on a field goal? It wasn't exciting for Arlington.
No.
But man, Jake Bates, you just knew he was going to do it. And I mean, he got a kickoff that was wide, but the referees blew the whistle, so that's why that was wide. Otherwise, that was down the middle as well.
Yeah, he looked like he pulled it there at the end.
Yeah.
For real. Watched as well. And then we got one more comment. Aaron Reed. Brahma Bulletin will be on for the San Antonio breakdown. So I'll bring him on, Aaron, just for that breakdown. And that'll be the last game we break down. So it'll probably be about 20 minutes or so before he hops on, or 30 minutes, something like that.
Save the best for last.
Hey, that was a good game, and I enjoyed it greatly.
Yeah. Again, if you're a DC Defender fan, you're saying WTF. But, because they finally won another one. I mean, they lost last time at home, right? And then now they're like, yeah, we're back in the swing of things. Let's save the lemons.
Yeah, let's go ahead and hop right into it then if you're ready.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's talk about the first game. It was the Birmingham Stallions. They took on the Memphis Showboats in Memphis. Stallions pulled that one away 39-21. To be honest with you, this game did not get as out of hand as I thought it would. Initially coming in, I thought this game was going to get way out of hand just from past experiences. But I mean, it really.
Yeah.
I'm going to pull it up from the back. And guys, I heard some complaints about my YouTube and the ads that pop up. Sorry, I'm just not willing to pay for YouTube Premium. I'll have too many subscriptions as it is.
Yeah. Don't pay for YouTube Premium. Don't be a sucker.
Definitely not.
So, I think what happened in that game though is Memphis actually came out and scored right in the first quarter. So
first quarter looked good in my opinion.
You wondered whether that was what they're going to do, right?
Yeah, they went 6. They were 6-0 going into the half, if I remember correctly. Is that correct?
Yeah. Sage Surratt caught a touchdown from Case Cookus, so they looked good. They looked solid, and Case Cookus looked solid. But you know what my theory was? That Birmingham woke up.
Yeah, I'm sorry, going into the second. They were 6-0 going into the second, not half, because Lord, they put on a lot of points there in that second.
Yeah.
You can't go back and look at that any different than what it was. In the second quarter, they scored 22 points. Memphis scored 3.
Yeah, so basically they woke up. So they were a little sleepy at the very beginning, and the Showboats came around. You know, the Showboats, what I think they did is they had a good game plan and they played it, and it worked. But the Stallions were much better at adapting, and they adapted and overcame it, and that was it. You know that Case Cook has only played half there, two quarters and a bit, and then Troy Williams came in, and I mean they wanted to play Cookus for the whole game, because in talking to head coach John DeFilippo, but they just felt, and in fact it was OC Doug Martin yesterday in his Zoom session, which I attended. He said, you know what, we needed a spark, so we put in Troy Williams, and they got a little bit of a spark out of Troy Williams.
Yeah, they also had a turnover though, if I remember from him.
Yeah,
interception. Troy went 6 for 13, 65 yards with 1 touchdown and 1 interception.
There you go.
But they did score.
And was it D. Anderson that scored for them? He scored, and I think I read this on the Memphis site, he scored 9 points in the fourth quarter. He got the touchdown, 34-yard touchdown reception, and he caught the 3-point conversion. So there was a bright spot for Memphis there. Yeah,
I mean, Case Cookus, he's not a bad player. He's just making some mistakes that are critical to that team. He went 15 for 23, 115 yards with 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions, and 2 costly fumbles. And from watching the game, when he made the second fumble before that half, it was pretty obvious why they took him out, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, they wanted to try Williams.
Yeah.
And they saw. So, you know what the big problem there this week is, who will they start this game coming up against Arlington?
Yeah, if they're going to do Williams, they need to give him another game to kind of get his sea legs on him and see what he can really do instead of throwing him in there, the heat. Right now, Case Cookus is leading the league in sacks. He's got 16 for the season. He also leads the league in fumbles. He's got 7 for the season. Memphis is 1-5, and it leads the league in points scored against with 171 points.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not looking too good midway through the season stat wise.
Yeah, no. 1 point for Memphis is they've had 6 games, 5 losses. They've played Birmingham twice. So, I mean, that's a big shaft right there. So they've got an easier schedule coming up. Like they're playing Arlington, they're playing Houston, they're playing Michigan, and they're playing, I think they play DC, I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. So they have a better, easier back end schedule. And also in this game, the Birmingham Stallions clinched the playoff spot.
Yep.
And Martinez threw for he's a running quarterback, right? So he's a rushing quarterback, but no, He says, "Watch this. I'll throw for 368 yards in this game and 4 touchdowns." So, like, boom. Okay, so now, I mean, who's the league MVP right now? It's him so far.
Yeah, if he had those starts that Corral had there towards the beginning, his stats would be a lot more padded for sure.
Yeah. Thing is, Corral's a stud too. They're both studs, both of them.
Agreed.
So Birmingham is like, it's a team of riches, and for them to go all the way this year, that's probably there's probably some money placed on that might win.
Yes, sir. I agree because Martinez, he's got the legs to get out of that pocket and still sling it, and he was slinging it too. He had some good long passes during this game that I was super impressed with. I didn't think he had that capacity, but man, I won't doubt him again for sure.
Yeah, it was an exciting game, I'm sure, and the other thing is, I don't know what it takes Memphis to get some fans to show up at their games. Maybe they need to win a few games, maybe, but I mean, they're kind of light on the fans, and I mean, they've done everything. They had a bobblehead giveaway, and they had $10 tickets. The weather's nice. I don't know what it would stop. See, look at that stadium right there. Mind you, that's the end zone where they don't sell tickets, but that looks empty.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
I mean, the TV ratings are good, but the problem is when the stadium looks empty, people get turned off.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we had 5,609 in attendance, and that looked very generous, in my opinion. And an average TV rating of 956,000, and that game was on ABC.
Yeah, so the broadcast TV games are getting their views, which is kind of cool. 5,609. How many were attending the Las Vegas games that were all poo-pooed last year in the XFL? Oh, that Cashman Field, you can only put 6,000 people in there. Well, I mean, these numbers are less than that. So happily, the league seems to be happy with the TV numbers, but you can see that they're trying very hard to get the fans in the stands.
Yep. We got specials going right now, promotional specials with tickets, whether it's buy a ticket and get a free apparel item, or $10 tickets, or teacher appreciation tickets. I mean, they're trying. So at some point, it's just almost like, man, you might have to give these tickets away if you want to fill these seats.
Yeah. I mean, and then what's the point?
Yes, sir. Agreed.
Yeah.
XFL Mike G said still hurting after the Express, and Memphis has had their run of spring teams, so I can kind of feel for that. I was one of those that was a big Express fan as well.
Yeah.
KJ said too many suburban Memphians just won't drive into town unless the Tigers.
Yeah.
That's the same stadium too, correct, Ken? I believe that's the same stadium they play in. Tigers. We got people chiming in. What's up, Michael Lathrop? Hope you're doing good.
Hi, Michael.
DeMarcus. What's up, DeMarcus? Hope it's going well.
Hey, DeMarcus.
So, yeah, man, this game wasn't as bad as what I thought it was going to be. I know the defense for Birmingham looks pretty good, too. I just wanted to mention it before we hopped off. Carlos Davis is leading the league in sacks right now with 6. So, they're looking pretty good. This team's the best in the league, and you can't really argue that with anyone at this point.
They've got everything. Don't forget about their Birmingham's ground game. They had a double attack with CJ Marable and Ricky Person, and I think they got about almost 100 yards between the two. But that's a pretty impressive attack, especially when you're doing a 1-2 punch. The problem is when you have one main running back is he gets banged up, and so they're doing a 1-2 and they're keeping everyone healthy, and they can do it there and they can do it in the air. So what's going to stop Birmingham? I think there's a game with St. Louis coming up, and well, we'll see.
Yes, sir. It should be a good one. I'm upset I can't make it, honestly. I wanted to make it to that one, but I'm not going to.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Get your popcorn out.
Oh, yeah. I got the popcorn ready, believe me. That's what the girlfriend does while I do this. She eats popcorn and watches movies.
Yeah, okay, good.
But yeah, man, we know Birmingham is looking like the best in the league, record-wise, stat-wise, however you want to splice it. This is the team to be and beat right now.
I don't know what's going to stop them. I've gone to the Skip Holtz media things during the week, and that guy just talks and talks and talks about football, this and his theory on this and that, and he's right about everything. The guy's never wrong. And so I mean, what's to stop any of that? Come on, St. Louis, bring it on.
Should be a good one. I'm curious to see how the ratings pan out for this game because I know it'll be entertaining. People are going to tune in. I want to note too before we move on to game 2. It was reported to me that some of the people in like the Austin market of Texas, they had an infomercial on until probably like 12:30ish, 1 o'clock. And they couldn't view this game. So, I mean,
I saw that on social.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have a valid source that was messaging me. It's XFL Mike G. He was asking me, hey, what the hell is this infomercial? And I'm like, let me check your channel guide. And sure enough.
I'm sure he was seeing, if he was said he's seeing the infomercial, he probably was.
Oh, yeah. No doubt. So that's what it's. I saw it on other places on socials as well. So just to note, guys, if don't plan on these games being on, make sure you're checking it out and have a backup to watch as well. That's my suggestion.
Well, you're talking to a guy that watches the UFL from different markets every week because I'm in Canada and I can't watch the UFL unless I have a VPN. So
that's the way to do
it. I don't know where I was. I think it was in Florida this weekend.
That's the way to do it, though, man. That's how I used to do TV as well, and now I've kind of got more legit about it. And I went ahead and I purchased YouTube TV for the month.
That's what I have
last month, and I'll just sign into the apps now and use them. But that's not my normal go-to as well.
Yeah.
All right, let's roll on to game 2. I'm going to bring KJ in. What's up, KJ? How you doing, man?
How's it going? How are y'all?
Very, very good.
Hey, KJ.
Let's talk about this Houston Roughnecks game. So the Houston Roughnecks traveled to the Battlehawks, or the Battle Dome, to take on the Battlehawks. They lost 22-8. This was kind of like the first game, in my opinion, that it was more entertaining than I thought it was going to be. And Houston came out swinging. They just couldn't get any points on the board. They tried and tried again. But KJ, I mean, I guess what's the game from your perspective? Break it down for us, man.
It's sad because when I rewatched the highlights, I tuned into the game late on Saturday and started watching, I think, midway through the second. But was still surprised, obviously, to see us in close contention at that point. And through the majority of the game, obviously. The last touchdown St. Louis scored, in my opinion, is a little misleading because it makes the margin look larger than it is what it is. But in the same token, like by that point, I think our defense was gassed. So
for sure,
they kept us in the game. I mean, as typical Roughnecks fashion, our offense seemed to just struggle. Didn't get any points the entire first half. Recapping and looking back, I think obviously everyone can always pinpoint the coaching a little bit. I did enjoy the fact that every time I saw Mark Thompson get the ball, I mean, he was making magic happen. And that may sound cheesy because he didn't even break necessarily 100 yards for the game, but I think that's just because they didn't call as many run plays as they could have theoretically. It's interesting to me to note because I just seen some of these highlights, especially I think the one play, I don't know if it was in the third quarter or fourth, when Stennett had dropped back, the play completely collapsed, and he threw what looked like was going to be a major loss screen pass to Thompson, and he ended up getting I think over 10-yard run for the first down, just with his ability to, vision down the field, agility, what have you. No, but defense kept us in the game, obviously. I think there at the very beginning, and they came out strong, stopped AJ on the very first drive. I don't know if they even got positive yardage that first series, punted. And then, we kind of mimicked them in that first sense, punt after punt after punt, until I think the second quarter when we actually were trying to make some headway, still couldn't do anything. And as I said, we didn't really get points on the board until that almost end of the game drive when they were trying to make a comeback. Thankfully, at that point, we were still within, I think, it being a 2-score game. And when we did score, it was within arm's reach. But I think by that point, the defense may have been too gassed. They called a really smart, I think, deep play to I forget if it's Butler or their star receiver for the deep post route or whatever it was to the end zone.
Killing it, man.
I'm guessing it was a play action play, I think, from memory. I can't recall, but defense just got completely burned on it, and so they gave those last points up, basically, that kind of put the nail in the coffin. Stinnett looked a little rushed to me, at least when I recapped and watched back over the highlights. There were certain times I felt like he was either taking too long to make a decision in the pocket, or wasn't as quick to scramble as he needed to be to avoid getting sacked. He took care of the ball in the grand scheme of things, though. One of the plays, I think he literally got spun around by one of the Battlehawks defenders, almost got sacked, and had the wherewithal to throw the ball away, which is something I noted and got frustrated a lot in previous games that he wouldn't do. And it was like, okay, the pocket's collapsing. Yeah, if you can't scramble to get away and you're going to get sacked, you can throw the ball away. And there were so many times he would either not do that, or he would, literally just make a dumb throw and not even throw to a vacancy in the field. And some of those may have been because he was still inside the hash marks. I'm not sure. And obviously you're always at risk of intentional grounding based on your positioning in the field. But, St. Louis definitely looks dominant. The one positive I would say that stuck out to me in all of this is we're playing arguably the second best team in the league this week. And, they were practically almost scoreless through one half of game time. And I don't think any other team has done that with them. I looked back over the season stats, and outside of St. Louis's one loss, our defense held them to the lowest number of points they've scored all season. It's sad to me because I look back at this and I think certain little small micro intangibles make the difference between our record right now of being 1-4 to what arguably could be 3-1. And I know that may sound optimistic to some people, but if you look back over some of the games where we were, within an X reach or one half of a series reach of scoring a game-changing touchdown, little things like not having Mark Thompson in those first few games of the season, Lord only knows what was in the back of Coach Johnson's mind if he would have been healthy week one, what that would have looked like against Memphis, especially one of our, I think our closest margin games of loss outside of DC. And I echoed the same sentiment there. It's like if we would have had, I don't think they didn't start Thompson that game, but he was in a majority of the game that time. But then again, you had the quarterback switch between Garantano and Stinnett. So just little things like that, you wonder if those would have made the difference. I fully appreciate and respect things that I think other folks I've seen online quote about how, it's unfortunate to see some of the stuff, broader scheme with Coach Johnson and just some of these play calls you just get frustrated by. You don't understand the logic behind it. And I think even some people, I haven't seen this myself, but I take with a grain of salt people's word on it is they've stated how sometimes in highlights of the huddles or what have you, they've seen some of the players rolling their eyes. And it's unfortunate to even hear of that because that obviously is not going to bode well for your overall team morale or cohesion and your full faithfulness, if you will, or commitment in your leader who is your HC. So, it was frustrating to watch, but I was happy and excited in the fact that they were still within it, through all the way up through halfway through the fourth, arguably. It was a legit football game. So, and this play right here, this is just crazy. Just Thompson's vision and agility. And the funny part to me is I have never seen another running back make it look so dang easy. He doesn't even look like I'm trying to use the best metaphor I can. Is it Tomlinson from San Diego Chargers? I'm pronouncing his last name wrong, I feel like, but Hall of Famer. But some of those guys, Barry Sanders, whatever, they would have to literally get low and make you like really bite on their fake or their juke or what have you. And he's like, I mean, half these plays when he makes a move, he looks like he's standing straight up and he's like making a Sunday walk through the grocery store. It's just hilarious to watch to me, but he's so talented. It's pretty cool.
Thompson really trotted down the field on that touchdown.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. He makes it look effortless. Like he wasn't even at, he was maybe at 80%, full effort or however you want to put it, so to speak. He didn't have to put his full boosters on to get the defense there on that scoring play. So
yeah, he had 13 attempts on the day, 3.5 average yards per play.
Yards total, I think. So
yeah, 3.5, 1 TD.
I was trying to look back and see. I didn't get a chance to double check. I wanted to look at the other games to see what his yardage was in the previous weeks we've played to see if this was his best one, because it just, feeling wise as a fan watching the game, it seemed like it was one of his best ones. I don't know yardage, actual total quantitative yardage, if it was or not.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I definitely see when I could look at and then think more broadly comparatively to the games we've had this season versus what I saw last year. And obviously the coaching regimen was completely different than obviously with Phillips and Smith and such, but there's just, I feel like I see less imagination in some of our play calling. And obviously that makes you less potent as an offense, but it's frustrating as Mike or others have said, with Memphis, like definitely this feels like a echoing remnant of the Express to some degree, because even that team had a pretty dominant defense, but that's only one half the ball. And if you can't put together anything on offense, it's only going to do you good so long,
Yeah.
So,
No, the thing about this running game is they got to be blocking, and you can watch that St. Louis defensive line just absolutely murder the Houston line, offensive line. I mean, you could watch it numerous times. I think Pat, he shared a clip on Twitter where it was somebody's video that they took, but man, Peter was just eating those guys' lunch all day long.
Right. Sad to me too, and I tried to account for this when I did my preseason rankings. Plenty of people gave me flack over that, and I completely respect and appreciate it because it was definitely not perfect by any means. But when I was trying to grade the teams on their offensive line strength, so to speak, and I would give credit where credit's due. St. Louis unit definitely looks like it's improved substantially. The first week I felt like I was still watching 2023 XFL, but because they were the worst, I think, protective offensive line in the 2023 XFL season. But this year, obviously, they've done a better job of protecting AJ and, at least to some extent, establishing a run game, which obviously helps them overall. Man, yeah, it's frustrating because we picked up, I think, at the start of the season, we had one or two players from the Philadelphia Stars of the previous USFL iteration, and they had, I think, the highest amount of rushing yardage and least number of QB sacks in the entire USFL league. And so those were two nominal stats that I felt like, okay, these are good grabs we're getting. I think we had 2 or 3 guys that obviously rolled over from the Gamblers in their previous season in the USFL. They had a strong running game then. With, I think, Thompson and other individuals, obviously. But I think something goes to the credit of saying, if you carry over the 99% of the same guys in your unit from one season to the next, you have better cohesion overall versus grabbing, a bunch of really good dudes, but if they don't gel well, you don't truly create a uniformed, strong offensive line, so be what it may. Those preseason grades obviously didn't live up to snuff so far because, as you pointed out, Matt, we've struggled to protect both the quarterback and establish constant, strong line setups for our running backs to really be potent play after play. So,
yeah, and the identity for Houston, it's kind of in the air. Weekly we're wondering, what are we going to do here? Are we going to run the ball? Are we going to pass the ball? I mean, let's see what Reed had. Reed went 19 for 34, and he spread that ball out, man. He's got a lot of different people he threw to, and he didn't have that bad of a game. He had a pretty good game, honestly. He just could not get points on the board, so it's unfortunate. And interesting enough, the Battlehawks went -5 on rushing yards for the day. So that was from one play from where is he at? From Sterling Hoffenshire. So yeah, let's go on to the numbers.
It helps that number one receiving room in the league. You don't have to necessarily lean on your running game as much.
I don't think the Houston Roughnecks did that bad. I mean, on the scoreboard,
I don't think they did either.
But there was a point. It was in the third quarter or fourth quarter where they were fighting on the sidelines, and you saw that, and you saw Mark Thompson, or like looked like they were going to come to fisticuffs if they didn't stop.
Punching the ranks, yeah.
And then they cut away, like the broadcast said, well, let's not look at that anymore, and they just cut away. So there was some bad blood going on. I mean, Mark Thompson is a stud. I mean, that guy, what's he going to do this week? I hope he does way more this week. I hope he really shows off. I mean, he's probably still coming off his injury, mind you. But, I mean, I like to see the Roughnecks put together some wins here at the end of the season. And they're not out of the playoffs yet, but I mean, it's pretty dire.
I don't. To your point, I don't know if I give a lot of hope from a playoff berth standpoint, but I do take solace in the fact that, if these guys can really get all their I's dotted and T's crossed, so to speak, to your point, take the gold and almost, the little pieces of gold, if you will, in every game of things that have gone right and they've done well despite the losses.
Mm-hmm.
It's not out of the question to say that, hey, we have the potential to beat a banged up, even Michigan team that kind of raked us over the coals early in the season, because we've got people in now at starting positions that we didn't have when we played them the first time.
Yeah.
Same goes in Memphis, maybe even more so, because that's, like I said, one of our closest margin loss games of the year. So, I mean, there's arguably 2 to 3 that could be won there, especially with the sequence we have. I think we play these are games I'm going to be attending. So Birmingham, I want to say it's week 8. These are further down, obviously. Michigan is week 9, and then we play Memphis at home, not at home, at their home, in Memphis the last week of the season. So, but we'll see.
Well, I'll tell you, it's tough for 2 reasons. McCarron is a stud, and you could see that. That.
Oh, yeah.
This guy is the Battlehawks front guy. I mean, without him, I don't think this team would be doing what they're doing. He is a stud.
He's a good quarterback. I will say, watching the game, I felt like he was a little off his game this week. And that
took him a while.
Yeah, well, and he had like 2 dumb. They were small, but they were significant in the fact that, like, the one throw that he just seemed to like just chunk up like a blind man to the end zone, and we picked it off. Just that seemed out of character for him to me.
Yeah,
as well as I think there was another pass. I can't remember if it was one he threw into coverage or if he just completely overthrew the receiver. I couldn't remember what it was, but there were 2 pass plays. That was one of them, and it was just like, what was that, man? Like that's not like you. And I was alarmed by seeing that. But yeah,
he was getting lazy.
And the Houston defense is good. I mean, it's not a squad. They're putting the pressure on him
for sure.
So let me leave it with this. McCarron went 24 for 37. So he had, that's not bad. He went 65% complete. He had 255 yards total, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. And Hakeem Butler just straight killed it that game. And he showed out. He had 6 receptions, 134 yards, 2 touchdowns. His longest play was 36 yards. But man, he just was hawking over people catching the ball. I mean,
they really showed up. It's like
he is the UFL equivalent of Megatron. I have to say, and he's got
even when McCarron has a bad game, he has a great game. I mean, come on. I mean,
right?
He really, 3 touchdowns and 200. How many yards? I don't know. Come on, that's a lot.
We had 32,000, almost 33,000 in attendance, 32,969, and that's good for the Battle Dome. We know they're going to pull the fans, and they pull more fans in one game than what most teams pull so far all season.
How many were drunk? How many were drunk, and how many were wearing chicken heads?
There was.
I want more stats on this.
829,000 average TV viewers on Fox. And this was down a little bit, I feel like, because many of these folks were also at a Cardinals game or watching a Cardinals game at the same time this game was occurring. So that's a good fact to know.
I like that. Of course, baseball, but I mean, how boring is a baseball game compared to a football game?
It doesn't matter to people from St. Louis, man.
Oh yeah,
St. Louis folks.
don't insult their faithfulness there. They'll get mad.
I'm telling you, man. I lived in Missouri many years of my life, and if this is Southern Missouri, even this isn't Northern Missouri, and they're the same way down there. So I get it though.
That seventh inning stretch, that's like the same thing you do when you sit on the couch for 2 hours and watch TV, and then you get up, right? You just stretch.
I'm cool. I like baseball as long as you can drink and not sweat it out during the game. It all just gets wasted.
I agree. I like baseball, but I'd rather go if I had a choice.
You don't want to go to the Cardinals game, then Matt, you'd probably be sweating your tail off.
No, sir.
I've been to one, so I can speak to that to some degree.
But Ken, man, you got anything else on this game before we move on? I appreciate you coming on tonight.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you for having me. I'm hopeful that and Mark, you kind of touched on this. Obviously, if I'm having a brain fart on St. Louis's coach's name.
CJ.
Yes.
No.
Beck. Yes. If he can get them in sync and maybe put more focus on the run game, and this may sound odd, but this week in practice, I think that would be the differentiator almost in their matchup with Birmingham next week. And I say that only because, y'all talked on this. They didn't have to rely on it much against a team like us, even though we were defensively strong. But from a scheme standpoint and such, you could argue that Birmingham is going to lean more on the knowledge or the preconceived notion that, hey, we don't have to worry much about the run game because of X, Y, and Z. If they can come in with a stronger game plan and preparation for that, establishing more of the play action allows more diversity in the play selection they do take when they go to the air, and thus would make them more competitive the entire game against Birmingham. I'm not settled yet in my mind on who I think's going to win that game because obviously, as you pointed out, Matt, everyone's typically in most cases still going to give Birmingham the nod, myself included, especially them being at home. But some people have touched on this. AJ's technically going to have a hybrid quasi-home game there too, being a Crimson Tide alum. But it'll be interesting to see. I think even if they can just play a hard-fought game next week against the Stallions, and even if they come up short, I think that will be a great precursor to say, hey, we may not be able to beat you in your house, but you wait until, 5 weeks later when you have to come to St. Louis and you jokers in Birmingham don't know what home field advantage is. When you literally can't hear your fellow player yell beside you on the line, it'll be a wake-up call for Skip Holtz and company. So. We'll see.
You can bet your butt if it's a playoff run game as well that's going to be a pop-in stadium for that whole portion of the game.
Us outside super fans want to be like, hey, we'll go attend a UFL championship game as in camaraderie. It's like, yeah, you might want to buy those tickets like now because if that prediction occurs even at a week before, 2 weeks before the playoffs, I guarantee you those seats are going to sell out immensely quickly and to the full spectrum for St. Louis fans. So.
Yeah. For sure. I appreciate you, KJ, man. You have a good night, and we'll talk soon, man. Good luck to your team this weekend.
Go Stars. That's all I'm going to say on the side.
Take it easy, brother.
See y'all.
That's funny. All right. So let's move right into game 3. And I've seen you guys had some good points. Rick 8-Bit, you posted something good. DeMarcus as well. Michael Lathrop as well. I'm going to save those towards the end so that way we're not on here for 2 hours trying to break down the games. Game 3, we're going to bring in our good friend Mike T. Bell. What's up, Mike? How you doing, man?
Good to see you, Matthew. And Mark, it's a pleasure to share the space with you. You're one of the GOATs of spring football, so thank you very much for what you've contributed.
Yeah, old GOAT, maybe.
Who's counting, right?
But nice to see you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited.
So the Michigan Panthers beat the Arlington Renegades 28-27. Jake Bates did it again, 60-yard field goal to win the game, take it home. Give us our breakdown, Mike. I know you were crunk for this one, and I know too you had the newborn at home, so you had to kind of watch from the side, huh?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. So it's funny, we have this tradition with our last one. If you get this certain kind of pizza, it's called J&G's pizza, then you're supposed to have a baby the next day. And I purposely didn't get it on Friday night because I wanted to go to the Panthers game on Sunday. but it turned out it didn't matter anyways, and we had him on May the 4th, so he's a Star Wars baby. He's doing well, and Mom's getting him down for bed right now, so we're good.
Yeah. Congrats, man. I'm happy
Thank you so much.
all that worked out well, and you're here with us. I didn't expect to see you tonight because I know how this goes coming in. So,
big shout out to my wife. She's the MVP, clutch, getting the kids down. Yes. I couldn't miss my chance to be on with Mark Nelson.
You're always welcome, man. Always.
Yeah, so let's get into it. So, the storyline for the season this year with the Panthers is what kind of identity do we have going into the game 3-2 versus the 0-5 Renegades? And I really felt like the Renegades were not representative of what their record is. They are a hard-fought team, and they're a team that really scared me going into this game because they are one of the teams that just do not give up. They play into the last minute. They've had a handful of last-second losses this year, and I think they have one of the most prolific passers in spring football history in Luis Perez. He's a joy to watch, and it was awesome to get to see him play. And, the questions I had coming into this game was, can Etling continue to manage, himself? Can he not force the ball into too tight of windows? Can he make the right play when he's running the ball, slide, not cough up the ball, which he has in limited time that he's had so far this year? He played great last week. I was curious if he would, hold on to that kind of momentum this week, and I feel like he really did. And then you kind of wondered, can this defense continue to get good pressure on the QB, keep the ball in front of him, or will Luis Perez carve him up? And then also last week, uncharacteristic of Jake Bates, he missed a couple field goals. So would he return to form back at home? And right away, we get a nice touchdown to COC Mariner. I love having this guy on the team. He is a great story. He actually almost made it to Mexico City before his agent called and said, there's a spot open on the Panthers. Let's get you up there. He reminds me so much of Chris Godwin and the way that kind of possession ball type receiver, get those nice chunk first downs, those big clutch catches when you need a first down on a 2nd and 12 type play. And he gets us started off. Etling's looking good. But Arlington just keep themselves in there, and they really dissected their way down. And they faced a lot of criticism in this game for, moments that they kind of messed up. But I really felt like they did a good job keeping the foot on the gas. They took the lead going 11-10 after a couple field goals. Day Hunter with a 12-yard rush. And then they go up 17-10 with the Sal Cannella touchdown that, at first they said was not a good touchdown, and then they reversed it. Good call on them. And then we get to see Jake Bates redeem himself, 60-yarder. That's his second of the game there. Follows it up with a 29-yarder to make it 17-16. And at this point, after J.P. Payton has that 14-yard touchdown, and they go up 24-16, I was texting my oldest son, who's 15, and he actually, I was like, I'm not sure about this right now because this looks a little dicey with the way Arlington just keeps – they're keeping the defensive pressure down. There was only one sack of the game. That was by Rondell Carter. And it felt like Arlington just kind of won the battle of all the statistics. The only statistic they didn't really have was the passing yards, and they only lost out on that by 1 yard. But we continue to kind of do what our identity is, and that's, play the field position. We're going to push them back. We're going to make good plays on defense, make good stops, and then we're going to make a couple good offensive plays to get down the field and get into Jake Bates range. And some costly penalties helped the Panthers stay in that game. That, especially that one drive where it just felt like, how are we not scoring a touchdown here? Especially with the amount of help we were getting from the face mask, pass interference. But sure enough, we take the lead 25-24 on the West Hills run. And then Arlington gets that field goal 27-25. And I'm sure all Renegades fans out there were feeling nervous. You're just knowing that there's a minute left in the game and knowing we only have to get to the 46-yard line to put ourselves in official Jake Bates range. And we were down to actually the returner we started the year with Marcus Sims, but Coach Nolan doesn't want to put him in there. He doesn't want to put him unless it's a critical situation because, obviously he's our wide receiver one. But I think all the other three returners are all injured now. So we're looking for a new one this week. But crucial, awesome return by Marcus Sims to set us up with the face mask, put us in a range for a 42-yarder by Jake Bates as time expires. What a finish. That's how we do it at Ford Field, it seems like this season. And I'm excited to see, what we could do going forward against DC, who's a team that really, really seems to scare me. You just don't know who's showing up with DC each week, but you know that they're going to be tough.
Yeah, I don't think you guys can play DC like you played Arlington. That's a definite L if you do that. Arlington kept you guys in it for sure with the penalties and such. But I will say, watching this game, there towards the end, you saw the Renegades almost gave that ball up again to not get that field goal. You saw that, and that was the end for them. Luckily, they got to keep the ball. It was called he was down, but still, man, that nail biter. And I'll say that was my closely watched game for the week. I was just waiting in anticipation, seeing what was going to happen next.
Absolutely. And shout out to one of my favorite players on the team. He's a backup defensive tackle, Walter Palmore. That's the second time this season in a close game he's come up on a 4th and short and got the tackle for a loss. The first one was against week 1 against St. Louis. This one against the Arlington Renegades, both Jake Bates walk-offs. That's awesome.
Agreed. I mean, you couldn't ask for much more, and you got the dub, so that's what it is. Rushing wise, you guys, you had a lot of different people rushing the ball, I feel like, this game.
Yeah.
But it worked, so, can't really say much bad about it.
Yeah, Matthew Colburn's really come on. He's very familiar with the offense with Coach Marcel when they played with the Stars. And you got Wes Hills. He's power. You got a little bit of thunder and a little bit of lightning there. I love the combo there. And Etling, I guess he felt called out by Joel Klatt the week before, saying you needed to be a mobile QB to be successful in this league. And he had a great run to put him into red zone. But other than that, I mean, Arlington had literally all the stats. If you look on the back box score, you can't believe that they lost.
Yeah, it's a familiar story for Arlington. It's the same story. We've seen this 2 to 3 different games now, I believe. I mean, Mark, what's your take on it? I mean, is this team going to be able to pull off a win? I ask this question every week. I think they can, but it's going to take some discipline.
Perez is one of the best quarterbacks in the league, but he snake bitten, is that what you call him? And that whole Jake Bates. Yeah, well, you know what? You guys are ahead. No problem. We got Jake Bates. And we won't even make him kick it from 60 like he could. We'll just, we'll give him an easy one. So, I mean, maybe Arlington didn't stand a chance. Maybe that was the whole story all along. They looked like they were going to actually put a win up, but no. Sorry, yoink. And that was that. And Michigan is a good team. So they deserve that win. Arlington deserves a win too, but not this week, obviously. They didn't have it in them. And of course, this knocked them out of the playoff run. So Arlington's just playing for funsies now.
They had almost 7,500 in attendance, 74-28. Average 929,000 on TV on Fox.
Is that a higher number for Michigan?
As in attendance?
Yeah, did they up? That was an up, right? They went up.
It's around the same. What do you think,
Yeah.
Mike? I don't know the detailed numbers without looking back.
I think it's interesting because a couple people texted me commenting that it looked fuller in the stadium, but I mean, that is right around the same. We're hovering around 7,500. I do think it went up by 500. But
yeah, it looked fuller. You're right. I think there was just more fat people there.
I know at one point it was so quiet. I couldn't take it, man. It was so quiet. I felt like I don't know if they didn't have somebody on the field with a mic or what, but man,
that's a huge field though. It's very impressive. Yeah. It's very huge field.
65,000 capacity. It echoes in there for sure.
You know, Michigan Panthers get good and fill that place up. Come on.
I know. It's driving me crazy. I want to, in the offseason, I have a personal mission to try to fill that stadium and beat the St. Louis Battlehawks record for next year. But, oh, man.
Yeah.
Good luck, sir. Good luck. DeMarcus said Arlington would be 3-3 if they would have managed the last minute or two of the games versus STL, DC, and Michigan, specifically the kickoffs after their field goals.
Yeah.
Agreed, 100%.
Yeah, DeMarcus, I think hit it right there. That's where they lacked, and it's common. It's a common lack, isn't it? So, well, I mean, not to steal your thunder, Matthew, because we're going to talk about next week's games, but Arlington plays Memphis next week. Something's got to give.
Somebody's got to get a win.
So, yeah, maybe that's the game to watch. I don't know.
Yeah, I believe so as well. That should be their win if they can get one, in my opinion. That it's the low hanging fruit, I feel like. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And Arlington only gave up 1 sack in this game, and they got 3 sacks of their own. So I think that they can definitely put the pressure on Memphis.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. Agreed.
I thought Arlington was going to win. I was like, is Arlington going to win this?
Yeah.
And then Jake Bates says, "Yeah, hold my game."
Right. No kidding. Yeah.
At this point, the Stallions winning and Arlington losing are staples of the UFL, in my opinion. This is what it is now. And
of course, both of them were champions. And they came in the first game. Remember that first game? Oh, it's champion versus champion. Let's bring it up. Well, things went different directions.
Well, Jake, man. I mean, Mike. Why'd I call you Jake? Lord have mercy. That's why. You're actually Jake Bates in disguise.
That'd be awesome.
I appreciate you, Mike, man, and good luck with the newborn. Do you have any other anything you want to review or say about Michigan before you hop off?
Yeah, some terrible news coming today that in the media call, Coach Nolan let us know that Frank Ginda is basically out for the season on injured reserve. Earliest timeline to come back will be the championship game. So that's his first injury in his career where he's been out more than a game. So that's hard. That's going to be hard. So big shoes to fill for White and Noah Dawkins, who's going to be, have to step up more in the Mike position. So we'll see. Other than that, there's an interesting tidbit that if Michigan does make the championship game and get home field advantage, that we will not be playing in Ford Field. There's already an event scheduled, some kind of festival. So be interesting to see what happens with that.
Interesting. Hopefully we don't end up like the AFL or surprise bye week or
right.
Never mind, you're canceled.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. I appreciate you, Mike, and look forward to you coming back. Good luck, like I said, with the baby, man. You're going to have to get some sleep, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's been a pleasure, Matthew, and thank you very much, Mark. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah. Have a good one.
All right, you guys too.
All right. Let's roll on to game 4. RJ's been waiting patiently. What's up, RJ? How's it going, man?
Good, Matthew. How are you doing?
Very good. So the San Antonio Brahmas visited the DC Defenders. They lost 18-12 in a battle. It was a fight. I know you've got a good breakdown, so I'm going to let you go ahead and get to it, man.
Well, this game was probably the most boring game of all the games that we had over the weekend. It was sloppy, in my opinion. The big thing, obviously, Quentin Dormady, he looked like he regressed. The last week against Arlington, he threw those interceptions. And then last game against the DC Defenders, very first possession, threw an interception, which we couldn't see because when I tuned the game in, it was still playing the Panthers and the Renegades game. So we missed like the first 5 minutes of the broadcast. And when I tuned in, the Brahmas had it on their second possession, and then they started showing some highlights, and I was like, wait, what just happened? So yeah, we missed his interception, and you can see there it was not exactly the best thrown ball out there. And then we missed the DC Defenders missing a field goal attempt on their first possession. So the next possession the Brahmas had, they were down in the red zone and they got stopped. They went for it on 4th down, which me personally, I do not disagree with. I like the aggressiveness. San Antonio, as the broadcaster said throughout the game, the Brahmas are the most aggressive team on fourth downs. I mean, they seem like they go for it all the time. I didn't like the play call. It wasn't exactly the best play call out there, and so we get stuffed and turn away with no points, and DC gets the ball back. And then after that, it was just kind of back and forth about punting, and then we had the fumble recovery, which DC defenders, Jordan Thomas with the ball. It looks like they thought it was a forward pass, and so they're just kind of standing around and opportunistic. We jumped on it. Unfortunately, really couldn't do much with it. I think we ended up getting a field goal. Yes, we did get a field goal off of that turnover, and then after that, it was just nothing. And I was really befuddled by the possession right before the half. We had the ball, we're driving, and then we were stalling, and we still had one timeout left, and it was just a lot of standing around. And there was no urgency. There was no seemed like there was no desire to do anything. And we just kind of just let the clock wind down and just went into the half. I was very confused by the lack of urgency, and especially when you had one timeout left in your pocket and didn't really do anything with it. Maybe it was because Quentin Dormady was doing absolutely nothing at that point, and we really couldn't trust the passing game. Kudos to the DC defenders. They came in, they schemed us very well. They stopped the pass, and Quentin Dormady couldn't do anything. The bright spot we had, obviously, our running game. I mean, kudos to Lovett. I mean,
Yes,
he
sir.
was running all over the field. Franchise record, the most yards in Brahmas history, and the most yards rushed for this season at 153 yards. Uh, I was absolutely pleased by that, and now you're starting to see the Brahmas getting the run game going. I mean, all season long, it was kind of ineffective. And then last week against the Renegades, we hit the ball running. We were running the ball really effectively, and it carried on to this game. So that's two straight games that the Brahmas have running the ball very well. And I think we need to continue that momentum, especially with our quarterback play not doing so well. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was maybe the field was wet because the weather report said it was raining, but we had some fans there. We had people from the Horns Forward podcast, AFN affiliates. They were there and they said it didn't rain during the game. So we're kind of wondering if the field wasn't wet, why were we slipping so much? You saw Dormany slipped several times. You saw that one play, John Terry Kirkland slipped and almost caused an interception there. Just wasn't very good. And like I said, the passing game, that's the thing that really bothers me. The passing game was just awful. Really, really bad. So now you're starting to wonder, is there a little bit of a hot seat on Quentin Dormany? Or is Jaden DeLaura or Kevin Hogan, our two other quarterbacks, are they starting to maybe get some more reps in practice? I'm not sure, but yeah, I just was not very impressed with Quentin Dormany. I think he looked really bad. And the other bright spot in the game was, sadly enough, our punter, Brad Wing. He did a really, really good job punting. He nailed some of those punts and pinned the DC defenders, especially that one, pinned them within the 1 yard line. Now, turned out that now this was controversial. Watching the TV, I thought it was a safety. I did not see that the ball crossed the goal line, but they gave them forward momentum, and so the defenders were able to keep the ball, and they turned around and got a 99-yard touchdown play out of that. So yeah, I was really disappointed in that. Our defense has been really stellar all year long, and this game, I think you can see that we are starting to miss some of our key players. We've been having some injuries build up on the defensive side of the ball, and I think the big person we're missing is Delonte Scott. His presence is sorely, sorely missed on that defensive side of the ball. The guy brings the heat. He's a presence out there, and him not being there, I think you're starting to see that. I think the defense did play well, except for that 99-yard drive that they had, but there's just something missing on the defensive side of the ball. And I think the injuries are really starting to play a factor in that.
I can agree with that. They've started getting injured. What, 2 to 3 weeks ago? You started seeing them pop up and just kind of stayed there and progressed from there. So
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
curious
Like we
to
said,
see the new injury
Delonte
reports.
Scott was injured, but then he came back against the Renegades game, and now he missed this game too. So, yeah, I think these injuries are starting to affect us negatively, unfortunately.
Yeah, because DC put it together this week. Last week they couldn't really do that. This week
Yeah.
they really checked the boxes on their
Yes,
offense. I feel like.
and that was in my article that I had wrote previewing this game. I said that going into this game, DC at least statistically had the worst defense in the league. So I was thinking this would be a great game for our offense to really kind of lay the smackdown on the defenders. And rushing the ball, we absolutely did that. But passing, I thought this would have been a good game for Dormady to kind of overcome the deficiency he had against the Renegades. And wow, was I absolutely wrong about that? He was not good. I mean, only 79 yards. Yeah, 79 yards passing. That is not good.
No, it is not.
It didn't work out for Dormady. Now, if you remember, he had a great game against the Defenders last year.
Yes.
The Guardian.
Yes.
And maybe that could have happened this time, but nope. That didn't happen.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But like I said, the running game can't give enough kudos and love to that. I absolutely love to see our running game starting to click. Now I just wish our passing game was back the way it was before. And that kind of brings me up to the next thing is that we know that Chase Garbers is on injury reserve. I don't think he's been officially ruled out for the season. So I think he was injured after week 3. So that's 5 weeks of IR. So maybe possibly week 9. So would we see him at the end of the season, or are we just going to stick with Dormady, or maybe these other 2 quarterbacks we got on the roster? But I think Quentin definitely needs to turn around in this upcoming game against the Roughnecks, because otherwise he might be riding the pine.
Yeah. I agree. He's going to get his chance to come back, Garbers at least, especially after this showing. But, I mean, Quentin may have just had a bad game. He may have just gotten his head hanging out in D.C. and seeing the beer snake.
Yeah. There's something that Coach Phillips saw that made him start Garbers at the start of the season over Dormady.
Agreed.
And we all thought, well, Dormandy's going to start that, he'll start for the Brahmas, but that got switched, and it was like something. And I've never heard a real good explanation of why they went that way with Garbers.
I think that after those first 2, I know Garbers looked pretty ineffective the first 3 quarters, basically 3.5 quarters against Memphis, but week 1 he looked great. He looked great in that awesome comeback against the Showboats, and he looked good against the Battle Chickens, at least until whenever he got injured and just couldn't finish off our comeback. And I can see now why San Antonio went with him as a QB1, because if Quentin keeps up the way he's going now, I don't think he's going to last very much longer.
Agreed.
Yeah, I have a question for you about the rain reported by the San Antonio Boosters. What's their name again? Sorry.
Oh, yes, our guys in the Horns Forward podcast.
The Horns Forward, yeah. Were they sober enough to give a weather report? I mean, come on.
You gotta have fun. I can't hate on anybody.
Yeah, well, they're a fun bunch. I mean,
they're good folks.
I've watched that podcast on Monday nights, and I'm like, man, these guys enjoying this. This is.
You should have seen them in Memphis when San Antonio came back and got that dub. They were the loudest people in Liberty Bowl, and there was only 5 of them. So just take that and think about it. They rep their team hard. I got a lot of respect for them for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I love it. And yes, San Antonio, they're going to do good things in the last bit of the season. I think you can count on it. You're going to hear from them.
Yes, sir. Let's talk about attendance. So they had 14,303 in attendance in DC. The game reached an average of 1.2 mil on Fox. So that was a great average and the best of the week. So there's hope, guys. These numbers look a lot better than last week, percentage-wise. I don't know the exact percents, but
14,000 is good. Whenever they showed the section with the beer snake, it didn't look as full as it used to look back in the day.
Agreed.
But they're still making that beer snake work. So, okay, bring it.
Number one complaint I heard on socials was that's not 14,000 people.
It did not look like it.
That's what I've heard. I've heard that a lot. So,
well, let's just talk about those numbers for 1 second. Those numbers come out from Mike Mitchell,
yep.
And it's like I've only seen the attendance number on the UFL reported on a broadcast maybe twice this season, and the rest of the times it's always Mike Mitchell. Now, I'm not saying Mike Mitchell makes up the numbers because I don't think he does, but why is that? Why is Mike Mitchell the official attendance reporter for the UFL? Why be the
He's the insider?
Well, I guess, yeah. I thought you were the UFL.
No. That's why we changed the name to Insider.
I'm looking at the logo there. I was like,
yeah. I mean, my thing about it is last year when I attended games, they announced it in the press box.
They always announce it in the stadium, yeah.
Well, see, the two games I went to, which was Houston and Memphis, they did not announce it. It did not get announced. Nope. And we did not get given it on a piece of paper. It was much different than last year's media setup. So,
well, it's a good thing that I don't aspire to conspiracy theories.
You're not the only one, my friend. I promise. But either way it goes, if it's 14,303 paid tickets, even if they didn't show up, hey, that's still a success. But either way,
well, I believe in the 14,000 number. I mean, I saw maybe the end zones weren't filled in like that, like I said, but there was people there.
For sure.
Yeah.
And it was early there as well, correct? Didn't this one start at 11? Or did it start at 12? I can't remember. I get these times.
It started at 12 Eastern.
Gotcha.
Or sorry. Is that 12 Eastern? Yeah. 12 Eastern, right? Yeah, for sure.
That's early either way, whether it's Eastern or Central for someone to get to a football game.
Yeah.
Just being in DC, I bet traveling to the game, even from a suburban area, takes you an hour, I would imagine. So, yeah. RJ, man, keep bringing it with these Brahmas. You guys got your show coming this week? What day is it?
Yes, sir. So this Thursday at 7 p.m.
Tell the people real quick. Give it a shout. Blast it out a little bit.
All right. So on Thursdays at 7 p.m., I have a show called Chewing the Cud. And our very own XFL Mike G is my co-host. We talk Brahmas and we also talk gunslingers. We give our thoughts on the previous game and the upcoming games. We give our predictions. We hold ourselves accountable on the bad predictions, especially mine, because I mean, if you keep track of my predictions, they are not very good so far this year, but it's all in good fun. And if anybody likes to join the show, will join us here on Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Time. You'll be able to find us on Facebook and YouTube and on Twitter as well, too.
Sounds great. Appreciate you, RJ, man. We'll talk again soon.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Always, man. Yeah. Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Nice chatting with you, RJ.
Horns forward.
Horns forward.
Take it easy, my friend. All right. So while we were chatting with RJ in the chat, we're talking about trades. Did you see any of the chats going on, Mark?
Which platform?
So I guess this would be YouTube is the one that they're hitting up right now, talking about chats. Basically, I mean, we're getting a lot of chat on the trades in terms of like Mark Thompson going here, Mark Thompson going there. Just curious, do you know, is there a trade deadline with the UFL? I have not researched that, so I can't.
I have not heard.
And last year with the trades, it seemed a little weird also. It was very under the table, and we didn't really hear about it until way after the fact. So not sure either. But I would imagine if some of these teams have a losing record that they will trade off.
Yeah, I was wondering who's going to pick up Luis Perez.
Seriously.
Because it's that time of the season.
Seriously. If he's going to make his comeback, he's got to do it now.
Yeah, well, So maybe maybe I don't know who needs a quarterback right now. Well, it could be San Antonio, but
That's what most of these folks are talking about. Mark Thompson, Chris Mason. What'd you say, Chris? No deadline. They forgot to make one.
yeah, Chris, yeah. Welcome to the UFL. We'll just make it up as we go along.
All right. I love it. I love it. Let's look at some more starts. So I put some stuff on the side to talk about real quick before we just quickly recap the week 7 games. So Michael Lathrop, when he came in earlier, he said the games for $10 and current UFL price increase has likely lost those families who attended in the past. Even though they've done more friendly pricing, those folks have likely committed to other entertainment options. I agree with that because it was very rushed. And you have youth sports. A lot of youth sports are going right now, and they kick up. And most people are there all the time.
I had someone complaining on UFL board in the comments about $10 tickets and all the fees and stuff they had to pay, and they weren't $10. So
online, no. But if you go in person, I imagine those fees aren't the same. That's typically how it works.
Well, that would be smart, wouldn't it?
Yep.
Show up at the box office and do that.
Well, like when we first started, I remember you didn't even know if you could buy tickets there. Nobody had any idea. They were just walking up and seeing. So yeah, that's the way I do it. I go to hockey games down here. It's called is it the Seawolves, I think? And that's what we do because the fees are as much as the tickets.
So you walk up and you can buy one at the gate?
Yes, sir.
I don't know if you can do that. I don't know if you can do that for at least games here where I am. Yeah, it's all electronic. So
yeah, well, Canada's a little different.
Well, we're so behind the times here.
But yeah, I just wanted to bring that up. And then we had one from DeMarcus. He said they may have to make the rules more catering to the offense or the passing game so that there are more shootouts. Excitement will get people out. Defensive games aren't a draw for casual. Hold on, I got it right here. Wait, where'd it go?
Yeah.
Yep, there's 2 parts to it.
I get what you're saying, DeMarcus.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like a rule change right now is not going to be good. But in the future, there's a lot that I feel like will be changed. And
I think so. Rule changes in the middle of the season, that's XFL 2001. That's what they did. Let's just change the rules this week, and that was one of the rule changes. They changed the bump and run. So in 2001, so there was less. So there was more scoring.
Yeah, but they dried up on viewership very quickly in that era.
2001,
right? Yeah. Those TV numbers just disappeared.
Yep.
So they're doing it much better.
J-Lo fans. They were mad. They were all J-Lo fans. They were mad.
Okay, let's go on. Let's discuss week 7 games quickly. We don't have to break them down unless you want to.
We talked about a lot of them already, so let's go through them.
Saturday, May 11th, the Memphis Showboats take on the Arlington Renegades. That's in Arlington. Game starts at 12 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Eastern, and it's on ESPN.
So the first thing about this game, Memphis doesn't know who the starting quarterback is, and John DeFilippo said he'll announce it on Friday. He can go either way, Case Cookis or Troy Williams. Who knows what way they're going to go? I bet they go with Troy Williams. I don't know, but who knows? John DeFilippo, he'll kind of have a gut feeling on Friday morning, and then that's where he'll go, I bet. But maybe depends on which one's healthier. And Case Cookis was banged up, and he was healthy again. But you know how it is. He might want to play, but maybe he's not healthy enough to play.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I think their probability of success rises greatly if they can put someone back there that can scatter around the pocket when needed.
Yeah.
Case taking those 16 season-high sacks. It's not only all him, but there's a point where, hey, you know it's coming. You got to move. You got to get rid of the ball. You got to do something besides fumble it when you get hit. So
no, he's like he just takes a licking and keeps on clicking, that guy. But man, he's had a lot. He's tough, and they've and so in Arlington's got to win sooner or later. That's all I could say.
Mike Bell said Arlington is winning, calling it.
All right. Michael Bell. Yeah, that for sure. I would call it for Arlington too, but I don't like betting on these games because you lose your money. Because if you follow me, you'll lose your money because I'm a crappy bettor. Trust me. Don't
I
follow
did
me.
the DFS, the daily fantasy, for the first few weeks, and I had a good little bit of dollars I saved up. But a couple weeks ago, man, those games got crazy, and I lost my money, and so
Yeah.
I'm out. I'm done. I finished.
Yeah, so you're like wearing a barrel now, and you're just
Mhm.
walking around with barrel straps.
Mm-hmm. Well, I thought it would get me more into the game, but it really just pissed me off more.
Oh yeah,
So I'm just gonna back it up and let things play out.
Yeah.
Chris Mason said going to be a shootout.
well, sure.
I hope it's a
That
shootout.
would be fun. Yeah, that would be fun. Yeah, both of those teams deserve a win, but only one of them's going to get one. So sad and happy.
For Arlington's sake, I really do hope they get one because, man, you saw those men after that game, the look on their face, hanging their head down on the bench. I felt bad for them, really. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, I agree. I feel bad. I feel bad for both of those teams, but Arlington especially because Arlington hasn't done it yet. So if I had to hope for one of them to win, it would be Arlington.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm low key a Showboats fan. I mean, I like them, but I'm trying not to rep a team this year.
Yep.
So Eric Stewart said Arlington has got to get a win. XFL champs are making the conference look bad. I mean, that's a fact right now, unfortunately.
I think that's a fact you're going to have to live with. They're out. and Perez is such a great quarterback. I mean, come on. What would it take? I thought for sure they were going to have a better season with him.
Well, in the chat, it says Perez to SA San Antonio. So let's see if that happens.
Yeah, because we talked about it. I don't know. Don't listen to us.
Okay, so let's go Saturday, May 11th. St. Louis Battlehawks take on the Birmingham Stallions. This is the game of the week for sure.
This is the game you get the popcorn for.
Starts at 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern. It's on Fox. This is the only game on Fox this weekend. All the rest of the games are on ESPN.
Yeah, it's weird, but whatever.
They flip-flop. Last week it was mostly Fox, and this week it's ESPN.
So your viewership numbers are going to be a little lower this week coming up.
We shall see. Because
prove me wrong.
Yeah. I mean, I hope not, but it's kind of been wonky this year. We knew the regional games were going to be wonky, but some of the games that I thought would do well did not do very well. So I don't know.
Yeah, prove me wrong, but I think the numbers will be a little lower. To be expected, maybe.
That's going to be a good game, man. I'm ready to watch that one.
I think so. Who's going to win?
I'm calling Stallions to win it. I'm just right now. Sorry, Battlehawks. It's the Stallions are too consistent, and week on week they keep on building their army up more and more.
Well, horses always beat birds, so it's like I would really. It's not that I don't like the Birmingham Stallions, but you know what? I like drama, and I would love to see the St. Louis Battlehawks go in there and beat them. And, and Battlehawks have the weapons. I mean, I think the problem with the Birmingham Stallions for the Battlehawks side is Birmingham is such a great team across the board, and they have such good coaching, and they adapt so well to other teams like they did to Memphis. They said, Memphis, oh, you're going to do that? Okay, fine. We'll just change up a few things, and then we'll just walk over you. And will that happen to St. Louis? I don't think so, but I would like to see the St. Louis Battlehawks win for drama. And I think a lot of St. Louis fans would agree with me. They want to see them win as well. So bring it, especially the drama of, it would actually serve for the Battlehawks on the standings so they get closer to being at that championship game where possibly Birmingham might show up for. and set up that.
Yeah, in the comments, in the comments, that's what we're discussing right now. Is basically everybody saying, besides Chris here, Stallions are going to get this first win, and then STL will come back for the second win to win that championship. So we'll see what happens, but it should be a good little dramatic scene to be played about for sure, man.
Yeah, it's a drama game. Tune in. Don't miss it.
It'll be a good one. And the tickets are selling down there in Birmingham. I've looked. They're selling pretty good. They should have a good crowd there. It should be bigger than what they've had the last few games.
Yeah, they deserve a bigger crowd down there.
Yeah, agreed. It's a good team. I mean, it's the best in the league. Just steamrolling folks, man.
Come on, Alabama. You know you can. You know you like football. Show up.
Now, the last game, I'll say the weather was nasty, and that's a good excuse. But now a little different. All right. So let's move on to the last. I'm sorry, not the last game. The last day of games. Sunday, May 12th, Michigan Panthers take on the DC Defenders in DC. That game's at 11 a.m. Central, 12 p.m. Eastern. It's on ESPN. So it's another early game over there in DC. We'll see how the attendance numbers play out. Will this affect them there? Who knows?
We'll see. I hope not. I hope they can get the numbers in there. I mean, they deserve DC. Historically, they've got a good crowd. They should just do it. Just show up. And, of course, Michigan Panthers, well, that's a team to be contended with. So DC's got to show up for that game. And, Jake Bates is sharpening his toe right now. He's saying, oh, you think 60 yards is good? Watch this, kind of thing. So that's another game to watch.
Yeah, we're going to see how good the Panthers are when they go play DC.
Yeah, who needs to win? Who needs to win that game? DC needs to win that game for playoff contention. The Panthers, well, they probably need to win too, but they're like 3 games ahead of Houston and the Showboats. I mean, I guess they can't end the season by losing every game, and that they probably won't. But they need, I think if they win, they're probably having they might have a lock on the playoffs.
Just the way it's set up. Yeah.
I think they might, I think they'll be set up maybe it depends on what Memphis and Houston do. If Memphis and Houston lose and they win, then they do have a lock on the playoffs. But certainly if they need to win to have a better shot at it, but they don't have to win. They can lose this game and still have a pretty good lock on the playoff spot. DC, on the other hand, okay, so who's DC? DC's fighting right now with San Antonio for that spot, and that's the battle. That's the playoff battle in the XFL conference right now. Unless St. Louis loses and then they join them, there could be a 3-way battle there. Buy more popcorn, Matthew. You're gonna need it.
My stomach's already hurting.
Yeah, stuff will kill you. Give you dry farts as well, so watch out for that.
So anything else we want to say about this game before we move on?
It'll be a good game to watch. That's one of the good ones for this weekend. So
yeah, and I was expecting the San Antonio and DC game last week to be good as well. I was kind of disappointed by that.
Yeah, it kind of didn't work out.
Just fizzled out.
Yeah, it fizzled.
All right, let's talk about the last game. Oh, the San Antonio Brahmas head to Rice Stadium to take on the Houston Roughnecks May 12th, and that's Sunday. Game starts at 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern, and it's on ESPN as well. So another game at Rice. Hopefully this Houston crowd shows up to support this team. We saw the Houston numbers just dwindle down as the season goes in terms of attendance.
Yeah, Houston, it's kind of a shell of what it used to be in 2020, when it comes to fan support. I've read a lot of posts online and social about people feel cheated that they're actually the gamblers in disguise. They're not the real Roughnecks. And, well, I guess you're right, but it would be all different. All those posts would be gone if Houston was winning.
Yeah.
You know, then nobody would care. But when you only have one win, then people start getting on your back. So
Yeah, Chris Mason said QD will get right at Rice. So Quentin Dormady will get right. I could see that happening here. But I'll tell you, the Houston defense isn't one to play with. And if he's just lollygagging around passing the ball like he was last week, it's going to be a tough fight on defense, at least.
Yeah, exactly. Now, if you ask me who's going to win this game, I say it's going to be this Brahmas.
Absolutely.
But that's why we watch these games, because there might be a surprise.
Any given Sunday is what they say.
Any given Sunday, yeah. Yeah, so surprise me. And, I haven't said this, but I'll tell you what I think about the Houston Roughnecks problems is I think their head coach is not – I think they need a new head coach. That's my thought.
That's what a lot of people are saying at this point. And I don't know. I'd like the opportunity to actually talk with him. I've tried to speak with him a few times about stuff, but I never really got any like detailed answers. But the first game I went to, they had a fan event and you could talk to the players and they had all the coaches there and I attended and we chatted, but it wasn't, what's the plan for this quarterback situation was my question. What are we going to do? I know Garantano's kind of got a bad record looking back at his past, and we're going to do the best we can and fight. Okay. Well, need a little more than that.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. Now, my experience with CJ Johnson is that and I've been to 3 or 4 of his conference calls, like in midweek. And yeah, I'm like, he's all over the place. I mean, you go to the Skip Holtz ones and you hear some pretty straight talk, and you go to the Anthony Beck ones, and yeah, he's kind of blustery, but he's pretty straight in what he has to say. And the same with John DeFilippo and Mike Nolan. Oh, that guy is locked in. But then there's CJ Johnson. And so I don't think he's as locked in, if you want to put it that way. I don't know how to describe it. So, I mean, prove me wrong again, because I'm often wrong, but I think that he's one guy that's probably he might be a change after the end of the season.
Yeah. Curious.
Last year with the XFL was Terrell Buckley. Terrell Buckley was, that guy's not working out, and he didn't. And of course, he never made the cut for the UFL.
CJ does have a tough position there, coming in and taking a team and making it your team that's really not your team, but is your team. I mean, it's kind of complicated there, so I can kind of see the difficulty where it lies.
Well, what's the deal with
Garantano?
Garantano, thank you. Yeah, what's the deal with Garantano? So the guy's injured, right?
He's back now. He's ready to roll. He should be.
And then all of a sudden in the last game, Sinet is injured and has a boo-boo. So then they cut to Garantano warming up. Like, where did he come from?
He's been back there hanging out. I don't think they never even put him on IR. He's just been injured. Oh,
well, that might be my fault. I guess I missed that. But then it was like, Garantano's warming up. I'm like, what? Where did he come from? I mean, but Sinet's a good quarterback. Give him credit, and give him credit for any and all success the Roughnecks have had on offense. Sinet has beaten that. He's done that with his body. How long can he last? Well, that remains to be seen. So in this game coming up, it'll be Sinet's game, and Brahmas will go, what? Don't know. But if I had to lay money down, which I don't have any to lay down, by the way, I would put it on the Brahmas. If I had $1 or $2.
I'm curious what the over-under is on that game. I don't really get into it much, but I'm curious what they're projecting at least.
Well, I can tell you what it is right now on DraftKings. It's over-under of 40.
That's higher than I thought it was.
Is that your bet? Is that what you like to bet over-under?
No, I just curious to see what the books think. Kind of gives me an outlet of what
it's 40. It's the lowest scoring over under of the week so far.
I don't do game betting like that just because you can't do it here from an app. You have to go to the literal casino and do it. So it's not very fun here to bet.
So you got casinos in Biloxi though?
Yeah, we got them, but they don't have the same type of system and bets set up as say DraftKings does. Where
they don't.
Yeah, it's not.
Well, you know what's probably good. Just save your money.
Correct.
Yeah. So that's their DraftKings is giving the Brahmas a 3-point spread on that one. So they're giving it to Brahmas for 3, which is it's pretty lean, but I mean that's normal. I think that's normal. Yeah. The biggest spread for the week is the Battlehawks, Birmingham over the Battlehawks 3.5. And the biggest over-under is 47.5 for the Battlehawks in Birmingham. So make sure you get your popcorn. It's going to be scoring.
Oh, I've got my popcorn now. You reminded me enough that I've got that. It's in there cooking right now.
Yeah. Just, all that scoring, just slam that popcorn back and those beers and those cold beers and you'll be all set.
XFL Mike G said he did improve the gamblers, talking about CJ Johnson. Prior to him, they lost 7 games in a row by less than 6 points in the final 2 minutes.
Well, that's horrible. Wasn't that aware of that, but I mean, Mark Thompson had a lot to do with that, right?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yeah. And Mark Thompson's he's not fully back yet. And as we talked about earlier in this cast, his touchdown this past weekend, he just kind of pranced into the end zone like it was nobody's business. So, I mean, I could see him doing that 3 or 4 times in a game if he had the chance.
And then the day after the game, this comes back to a comment from Rick 8-Bit from the beginning of the show. I didn't want to put this out because I didn't want to get in this discussion, but after the game, the night of the next day, Thompson started tweeting.
Yeah, he's a tweeter. He does that. Yeah.
I don't know if he was just trolling people or what, but he was talking about retiring and how he had this privilege to play here and do this. And
yeah.
But I don't know. He entertains himself with Twitter and people's reactions.
Yeah, he likes the drama, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, there was some drama during the game. There were some infighting on the sidelines that the broadcast quickly cut away from. Didn't want to. But it was Thompson. I'm not sure who he was arguing with. I think I think Greg Parks picked up on it because he posted about it in the UFL board discussion about the drama and the infighting. And he was disappointed that the broadcast crew didn't send a reporter down there to, dig in. But they left it alone. Whatever happened, the sideline reporters left it alone.
I can tell you what's wrong. He's tired of losing. He's got a championship mindset, and they're getting beat every week. I'm sure he's sick of it.
Yeah.
Coming from a player of that caliber should be on a team that's going to play him with the respect of his skill set. And
so do you think maybe he's the one starting all the trade rumors?
Nah, I don't know, honestly. You never know, but who knows with the Twitter stuff. The guy is busy on Twitter. He's had a lot of different stuff going over the past year just on there. So,
yeah, well, I like him. I mean, I'd love to see him score 2 or 3 touchdowns this week. I think that would be fun. Sorry, San Antonio Brahmas fans. I'm sorry I said that. I'll go to church and say a prayer for you.
Makes I feel Mike G said Sinet. So I say Sinet, but it's Sinet. Everybody's saying Sinet. So Sinet played in San Antonio last season. Could be a motivating factor. Yeah, true.
Yeah, he didn't start much for San Antonio, though, did he?
No.
He was a backup. Now, Sinet was the guy that Quentin Dormandy talked to about and told him he wasn't playing the next week. And he was the guy that he actually cleared up the rumor. He says, Dormandy didn't tell me anything. And Sinet told me that because I investigated that problem. And I talked to Sinet, and Sinet said, Dormandy didn't tell me anything. He just said, yeah, I'm playing this week, and then DeAndre Francis is playing the next week. And the head coach, Terrell Buckley, had already told that whole story on the broadcast TV. So So
Like you said, drama pays, right?
yeah, bring it. But Dormady got the raw deal last year.
Yeah.
I mean, he's come back now, and most people have forgotten about that, which is good because nothing happened. But there was some good headlines for a while there.
Yeah. He was scorned there for a little bit. His name
it was ugly.
good.
I really regret that happened to the poor guy.
Yeah, and you can tell he's a good guy when he talks. He's very humble, very procedural, straight to the point.
Yeah. So as far as he's concerned, next week I kind of hope he has a better game. As you can tell, I'm hoping for a lot of these players. I hope for Mark Thompson to have a good game. Now I hope for the other quarterback to have a good game. So who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, though. I'm the same way where I just want them to succeed and give this opportunity the best they can do.
Yeah.
When I quit looking at it from a fan perspective, it definitely changes your, I guess, opinions on a lot of this, the whole league in general. You can value or devalue it in different degrees on what you want.
Mm-hmm.
But that covers the 4 games for this weekend. So, guys, like I said, the first one or the second game on Saturday is on Fox, and then the rest are on ESPN. Check them out. Use the apps if you're having issues. Check your local listings and make sure that you are going to receive the game before you plan on watching the game. Just get online. You can check it out right now. You should be able to view it. You have to find your market in your channel, then you just check it out and see what happens.
Don't want to miss it.
No, sir. Now, Mark, you got anything else? I think we're going to wrap it up. It's been a good one.
Yeah, I've enjoyed talking with you and your guests, and it's been fun.
Agreed.
Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, always, man. Always. You know you're more than welcome. Anytime you want to hop on here and talk, feel free. Seriously. We've been trying to do these breakdowns every week, and it's weird because there for a year I just did interviews. So now actually having to be procedural and use some data, it's a little different, but it's a good time for sure.
I think your breakdowns are good. I mean, yeah, it's fun. You've got a fun show.
It is what it is. We try.
Always fun.
Try not to. My whole goal was to not make this about money. All about the passion, and it's worked out well so far.
Yeah. Yes. It's about the passion.
It's all that's there, man. But
well,
Mark,
I hope that the UFL continues on for another season. I always the one thing I wanted to talk about a little bit this podcast. Sorry, you're going to cut me off, but
no, go ahead. You're fine. Take it. Was
in XFL 2001 failed because their main broadcaster NBC pulled out of the agreement, and now with the UFL, it's the same. It's similar agreement. You've got a broadcaster that's a half owner, and then a bunch of people with money as the other half. So what happens if that broadcaster pulls out?
Yeah, that's all.
Is that going to happen? Well, you never know. And Fox has canceled more TV shows that I enjoyed than any other broadcaster I know. So yeah, so just put that in your craw. That nothing is forever.
Yep.
It seems, especially when you have a TV broadcaster involved. Like if the ratings dry up, they'll dry up. That's why they're here. So good thing right now the ratings are good.
Yeah, and compared to other seasons, we're holding good. We're increasing as the season goes.
So just keep that going. Hopefully keep that going, UFL. And yeah.
So
that's all I have to say, my friend. Just this one scary thought for you.
You got to leave me with something to worry about. I appreciate you, Mark, man. As always, good convo. And if you ever need anything, hit me up, man. Anytime. Check him out at UFLboard.com and Twitter and Facebook and YouTube as well. UFL Board.
Yep. Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you, man. And until next time, much respect, man. Take it easy. Stay safe up there in Canada.
What's there to be? There's no danger up here.
I heard y'all got like big mosquitoes. Is that true?
Yeah, but you have mosquitoes down there, so
Yeah, they're not too bad down here, surprisingly. You know what gets you down here is the gnats. The gnats will tear you alive in certain degrees, but
yeah, I don't like gnats. What do we have here? We have ticks, we have mosquitoes. We don't have any of those 13-year bugs like you have in the States.
cicadas.
We don't have that. We have crazy geese that will guard their eggs, their nests with every part of their body. We have moose that will just show up and attack your car.
That'd be cool to witness. I would give something to go to Canada and see a moose just destroy a car.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. Or on the highway, because if people drive at night and then they hit a moose and that's the end of your car, it probably might be the end of you. So it's, but Canada's actually quite a calm place compared to the good old USA.
I can see that being true. It's
wild. If you watch that movie Civil War, the Canadian dollar buys you more gas than American dollar.
I have not watched that yet. I'll have to catch it when it comes out. I'm not big on the theater, but
it's just a tip.
Now you got me wanting to watch it. Prepare. Thank you, Mark, man. I appreciate you, dude.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Until next time, sir. All right. Great show with Mark Nelson. Appreciate you, man, as always. Mark Nelson really helped me get a foot in this whole thing and made a big difference in the podcast and just being able to network and talk, I guess, news and media stuff. What I found a lot of people in this scheme of things, it's nobody really wants to team up, but with the people that do, we definitely try to work with and do the best we can on it. Because at the end of the day, we're not making any money. It's all for love and fun. You're going to be a lot more successful with people that are like-minded than trying to fight the people that are like-minded. That's my decision on it and my thinking. But yeah, check him out, uflboard.com. Great man, great website as well. Don't forget about the Week 7 matchup, Saturday and Sunday. We have one game on Fox and the rest are on ESPN. Give the league a little support. Turn that game on, even if you're not interested in the team. As long as you're a UFL fan, of course, which I'm guessing you are if you're listening to this. No way around it. Saturday, I'm going to have a special show with Anthony Carter, the Arena Insider on Twitter and Facebook. There's been a lot of stuff going on with the AFL. And personally, as a news organization, I did not want to tackle any of these items without having a verifiable source and information to show for what I'm saying. That's just how I roll on things. Anthony Carter is the closest you can get right now to knowing what's going on with that league, what's happening, how and why it's happening, and he has a lot of information to share. So Saturday, May 11th at 7:30 p.m., I'll have him on the AFN interview series. We'll talk to him live. Come bring your questions, bring your concerns, because I'm just like you guys where I want to find out more as well. And this is going to be a legitimate session to figure out what is going on with the AFL, what has happened with that league. And there's a lot, and I'm not even going to get onto it in the show. It's not worth it, but trying to be positive with a lot of these things. And yeah, so come check out Anthony Carter Saturday night, 7:30 p.m. It's after the games. The game should be done by then. So, come interact, ask some questions, because I'll be sure to ask a lot of questions as well. The next episode of the UFL Insiders will be next Tuesday, May 14th, 7:30 p.m. Central. Same date as time as normal. Don't have a guest lined up right now, but we will get one most likely. See what happens. If not, we'll review the games as we have. It's always good to have guests on here to get different opinions, different knowledge, different outlooks on things. So if you are at home or a valid individual that wants to get on, that has something to share, let me know. Shoot me a message or reach out to one of the group members with AFN, and they'll get you in contact with me for sure. But yeah, I appreciate everybody watching, listening. If you have watched and listened to the whole show, thank you. If you commented in and then interacted with the conversation, thank you as well. Much appreciated. I am Matthew Tyler, and it's always a pleasure. And thank you, UFL Board, as well. Appreciate UFL Board as always, and the UFL. Special thank you to the UFL for letting me cover the league. It's always a pleasure, and hopefully we're doing our due diligence to get more fans to this league. That's the goal. I mean, I walk around representing the UFL at this point, and places I go and people I see, and you'd be surprised how many people actually know what it is, though. So it's really interesting to have those conversations when you can. But like I said, guys, catch me Saturday night. Anthony Carter, Arena Insider. Should be a good one. I'm Matthew Tyler. It's been fun as always. Look forward to week 7, and we will talk again soon. Till next time.
Go hard, go home, go hard, go hard, go home, go hard, go hard, go home, go hard, go hard, go home. Touchdown like an end zone. When the circle turn to my home, can't get me out of my zone. Go hard, go hard, go home, go hard.